Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Isabel. I am an event planner for the Reactor, joining you live from Sydney, Australia. Before we begin this fantastic session, we have a quick housekeeping. We're committed to fostering a welcoming, inclusive, and supportive environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, please let's keep our comments respectful and constructive throughout this session. This session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand within 24 to 48 hours right here on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. Thank you all for joining us on this session called Deploy Your First App using GitHub Copilot for Azure. I am excited to introduce our fantastic speaker, Mohammed, and will now be handing over the spotlight to him. Take it away, Mohammed.
Hello everyone. Okay, so just a quick intro about me. I'm a cloud engineer by professional and I'm a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional in Azure and developer technologies. So today I'll be discussing about how you can deploy your first app using GitHub Copilot for Azure. And the AI Skill Fest challenge is about to end, and it is a perfect time that you learn about the AI agents and explore what it is and how you can use and build your application. But in today's session, we'll be seeing how you can deploy your application using GitHub Copilot for Azure. And this is the missing element in the AI Skill Fest that you all are missing, that how you can deploy your application. You don't need to go to Azure portal and deploy your application. You can just do like you are developing your application using GitHub Copilot. And yes, we'll be using GitHub Copilot for agent mode as well. So there are no slides today. We'll be moving directly from the documentation. So you can follow with me the documentation side by side as well. And we'll be seeing the documentation and implementing directly from the documentation. So it will be another level experience where you will be know how you can follow the documentation and implement the step, and we'll be seeing the steps how you can implement the prompts and what actually it is required from you to implement uh, in the form of the prompt and what option you should select. So let's get started. So you can found this documentation chat in the chat, and this is the about what is GitHub Copilot for Azure. So yeah, so basically it is an extension which is available on VS Code, or you can also use GitHub Code Spaces. It's totally up to you. But in today's session, I'll be using GitHub Code Spaces feature, which will be open directly from the repository. So we no need to open the browser. But if you are joining and if you want to use the Visual Studio code in your local machine, that is also fine. So what it is about and how it will be helpful in the deployment, and what you can do with the GitHub Copilot for Azure extension. So first, you can learn about the Azure features, and yes, you can deploy your Azure resources, and you can get information about the Azure resources. You don't need to open the portal and check what is currently running, or what resource group are there and which resources are currently running. You can just give a prompt and get the information directly from the GitHub Copilot. And yes, again, the most important thing, if you join my last session, we do the troubleshooting in that as well. So yeah, this is the most important thing where we a lot got panic and feel like, we got stuck here and we cannot proceed. So yeah, we can also do that thing using GitHub Copilot. And yeah, it is available on Visual Studio Code, and you can also find it on in your code spaces as well. And you can also sync the settings in Visual Studio. So if you are opening on code spaces or opening on Visual Studio Code on local machine, so settings will be synced. You don't need to install the extension again and again. So here is more about the scenarios we'll be discussing here. A little bit more like what exactly the prompts you will be giving and how you will be designing and deploying the your application. So okay, So for the beginners who are new to Azure and be more productive as quickly as they want, because I know if you are following the documentation, it feels so overwhelming and confusing sometimes that you have to like close the tab and start looking to other tutorials. But the best part, your problem is getting solved today. You don't need to move and like switch between the different documentations or tutorials. You can just write the prompts like you do in developing app throughout the AI skill fest challenge. So let's discuss some primary scenarios. So there are four primary scenarios, which is first one is learn. So you can learn about the Azure services tool and latest learn documentation, and uh, don't need to worry what it is and what why we are using @ Azure. Will be seeing in few minutes how you can give the prompt to the GitHub Copilot and it will be responding. So here are some sample respond. What Azure app service should I use with my app? And then you can also check what available types of Azure OpenAI models and so on. You can like learn about any service. Even you can learn about the pricing models and compare the pricing with GitHub Copilot for agent, instead of just going and searching and doing a lot of hard work in just finding the information. So that thing is minimized and you are getting the actual information that is required for your application development and deployment as well. So yes, the design and develop that you are learning throughout the AI Skill Fest challenge, how you can design your application. You are learning a lot technical stuff, LLMs, semantic kernels, and so many stuff. So yeah, you can learn about the rack applications. You can learn about how you can deploy and undeploy your project, and yeah, you can even if you are you can say if you are a business founder or you have an idea or if you are doing your final year project, you can give that prompt to GitHub Copilot as well, and it will make the application and the certain features for you. So it is doing a lot. And yes, the deployment, that is the main topic of today's session: how you can deploy your application, how you can build CI/CD pipeline, and how you can undeploy my project. And this one is something I am learning for the first time while exploring this documentation, because we deploy many times, but it is like very, you can say, like we haven't explored this thing. Maybe you explore, but this is new for me. Okay, how we can deploy my application or the project, and then we will troubleshooting. Like if you get any issues or you reach the quota limits, so you don't need to worry or and don't have to like worried about the errors, how I can handle it. GitHub Copilot is your back and it's handling for you everything. And then yes, you can answer questions even if you are implementing this extension, using this extension with me today's session. And if you have the questions and if you are still confused, like I don't know how it's working, or if you have any certain questions, so you can ask to me as well and ask by yourself to the GitHub Copilot, uh, like what is this thing and how I can perform this thing. So that's the best part. So all your answers will be all your questions will be answered by the GitHub Copilot. So it is a little technical info, like how it is working and how it is built. So GitHub Copilot for Azure is built on a foundation LLMs like GPT-4, and it supplements LLM knowledge with continuous update knowledge from Microsoft Learn. So agent interact with Azure Service System and Azure Graph to carry out specific tasks on your behalf. So it is similar to the AI agent, what AI agent is doing. It is similar here, like GitHub Copilot for Azure is doing similar stuff. It's like interacting with the Azure services and system and Azure resources to perform these specific tasks on your behalf. So yeah, I think this is a lot theoretical. We'll be doing more practical and hands-on in today's session. So just to give an overview, what is GitHub Copilot for Azure and how it will be doing tasks for you. So here are the some best practices that you can review. All AI generated response, validate the correctness, applicable potential outcomes. So never save. Acha, this is the most important thing, that you never save your secrets or credential in source code. Never submit application secrets or credentials that you usually do while upload pushing your code to GitHub repository. So you have to make sure about these things, that you are not doing anything. So in that case, your application will be secure and you will be not uh, leaving your secret or credential in source code, and it not will be getting affected. Okay, so let's get started from the you can say. Okay, so if you're following this documentation, you can see the left navigation bar and you can just select get started, and you can see with me like how you can get started, what is required and what is prerequisites and what need to be installed. Let's discuss first, and then we'll be moving to the VS code, and we'll do some experiments. Okay, so here are some prerequisites. You need an Azure account and access to an Azure subscription. So you can simply go to this page, and if you don't have account of Azure till now, you can simply go on this page and create one and get your Azure subscription. And yes, don't need to worry if you are the new user and doing for this first time. So you will be getting the free tier that is available for the 1 year, and getting a lot of services on the free tiers. So you, nothing will be like spent. You don't need to spend anything. You just need to create an account and just do some experiments. And yes, the most important thing, a GitHub account and GitHub Copilot subscription. So for details, you can simply go to these links. And so first, it is the most important thing. You can just go on github.com and create your account, and then you can set up the Copilot. So if you are using GitHub code spaces, so you don't need to do any of this stuff. That's the best part of GitHub code spaces, that it's do everything for you. You don't need to worry about anything, any dependency or anything need to be installed. uh, Everything is taken care by the GitHub itself. So you can see, if you are using Visual Studio Code, so you can also set up Visual Studio Code by going to this link. And then you have to install the once Visual Studio is installed, you need to install GitHub Copilot for Azure extension. And you can go to the certain links and see how you can set up and enable the extension. Okay, so the it is recommended to use GitHub code spaces, so you will be not be stuck or have to spend the time in setting up the extension. You just need to install the extension in code spaces. I will show you, don't need to worry what I'm talking about. Code spaces again and again, I will show you how you can create your code spaces and run your application and create develop your application on it and then deploying from it. So here are these some steps that is given. Let me go you through the GitHub. So once you're logged in, you will be seeing the screen like this. So maybe your screen will be like you don't seeing much stuff like this, but yeah, the interface will be similar to this. And then you have to go to repositories. Then after going to repositories, so you can create new repository, but I already created one for this session, so I simply go to GitHub Copilot for Azure demo, and I just simply go click on the code. And we normally use this one to clone the repository, but today it is recommended to use code spaces. So I just click on the code spaces tab, and I will create a code spaces on main branch. So if you have multiple branch in your repository, so you can create the code spaces on any of the branch. So I have already created one, and let me show you. So when you click on the create code spaces, it will take few minutes depending on your network. Once it is created your code space, it will show the interface similar to the VS Code. So after doing that, you just need to go to extension and search for GitHub Copilot for Azure. So it is already installed. So you can, if it is not installed, you just need to click on install. And if you are using code spaces, so it will enable automatically in your system. You don't need to do more settings or doing the enabling stuff. So that's the whole point of using code space. So this is install. Then we'll go back here and let's go to the documentation. Okay, so now it's time to do some practical and do some hands-on. So here are the option, like once you install the extension, then what you have to do, ensure you first have to ensure that your extension is installed and properly authenticated, and that extension is working correctly. So what does it mean? After installing the extension, you have to make sure you are sign in Azure as well, because if you're not signing in with Azure, you will not be able to you can say find the resources or do stuff with the Azure. So this is the another step, that you have sign in with the Azure, and you have to select your tenant and then the subscription. I already did that stuff to save the time and to show you more how you can do some hands-on here. So yeah, first step, install the extension. Second step, install Azure extension as well if it's not installed yet in your VS Code, and then sign in with Azure, and then you are good to go. And then we have, here you can see the icon of Copilot. You have to just click on it and click on open chat. So the screen like chat will be open at the right panel, and you can see here that it is open, and here are three modes you can ask from Copilot. You can edit files, but will be using the agent mode. That's why we are all here, and to understand how it will be performing tasks for you in Azure. So make sure you sign in into the Azure. If you're not signed in, then you cannot getting results from the Copilot, because it is the most important task that we missed while doing this thing. So once you are done with this step, then let ask from the Copilot that how we can okay, so we are done till here, and we have set up the Copilot. Now we'll be start asking from the Copilot, do we have any resources currently running in our Azure console? So okay, so we'll copy this prompt and simply copy paste it here. And one more thing, to verify that your GitHub Copilot for Azure extension is installed, you can click on here, that is the tool icon. You can click on the tool icon, and you can check from here which tools are available for you. So you can double check from here that your extension is installed and it is working properly. So from here you can see we have GitHub Copilot for Azure, and this tool can perform this much task for us. Okay, so at the rate Azure is to enable this extension and to ask question from the Azure, that if you want, like specifically if you want questions related to the Azure, so you have to write at the rate Azure, do I have any resources currently running? But we'll definitely check here what if we missed writing @Azure, what will happen? So we'll be doing experiment with that thing as well. So let's see how it will respond to my query. Do I have any resources currently running? So it's running a query and looking in Azure resources. So it takes some time again to fetch the information and check from the Azure resources. Okay. Okay. So also I do one thing here, like before this session, I do all the authentication, but when you give the command, it also asks for the authentication. So you need to authenticate that thing as well to sign in and authenticate from the Azure portal that you are allowing the GitHub Copilot to use the Azure console. So once you did that thing, you will get the response. So yes, I have this much resources running on, yeah, network watcher in Southeast Asia and UE North. Yep. Experimenting with AI agents a lot, and yeah, DB agents, and these are the projects that I am working on, or you can say these are the current active resources that I am using in my Azure portal. Now we'll be doing one more thing. So we'll be giving the same prompt again, but we'll be removing @Azure, and we'll see how GitHub Copilot will respond to this query. And we'll be writing simply, do I have any resource currently running in Azure? And let's see what response it will give to us. So yes, it is working as well. If you are not writing @Azure, it will still works. And it giving the same prompt. So moving back to the documentation, and here you can see in ask mode. Okay, so by default, GitHub Copilot use ask mode. I show you three modes available: ask, edit, and the agent mode. So ask mode provide answer to your prompt in the chat panel, and agent mode enable GitHub Copilot to take action in your workspace. So in ask mode, you need to add @Azure part indicate that you want to include the Azure chat participation in the conversation. But if you are using GitHub Copilot for agent mode, so you don't need to use @Azure prefix. So here you can see in visuals how you can enable agent mode in your VS Code. So you can simply see you have to go to the settings, and from there you have to enable chat.agent.enable, and then you have to select the agent mode, and then it will run automatically multiple requests that you want, and you don't need to add as your prefix in the start, and it will do everything for you. So we'll be seeing here more how we can using GitHub Copilot for Azure. So you can ask more prompts as well, what are your tools? And so we'll be seeing here that we, like, they also pasted the response from the code pilot here. So we'll be not running this command, just going through this thing, and we'll be doing a demo as well by giving a prompt and deploying the application. So we'll be spending more time there. So just going through with the documentation, like what prompts you can give and get the responses. And here you can see you can also give a command like what az command to list all my storage account ordered by location, and it is giving the responses. So you can go through this documentation in detail. So without any further delay, let's build a new application. And here you can see we have two options. First one is build new app and deploy the existing app. So we'll be focusing on these, but you can read here, and we covered like I gave you the summary and show you how you can do this thing, and it is also mentioned here if you missed anything. So let's using the left navigation bar, will move to build new application, and okay, build and deploy your application. So okay, so prerequisites will be same. You need a GitHub account, and then you need GitHub Copilot extension installed, and then GitHub Copilot for Azure extension and Azure subscription if you don't have one. And yes, GitHub Copilot for Azure can help as well if you face any issue in signing up or authenticating the Azure account. So GitHub Copilot is your back, so don't need to worry. Okay, so let's create and deploy a website by using GitHub Copilot for Azure. So from here, you can see the steps. Create a new folder on your local computer where you can create a local clone of a GitHub repository. Or you can use GitHub code spaces, so you don't need to create any folder, or you don't need to view terminal. It is all there for you. You just need to run the prompts and it will show you in your code spaces, and from there you will be git push, like you are pushing code from your local machine to the GitHub repository. Similarly, you can push your code from GitHub code spaces to GitHub repository. Okay, from here you can trigger the GitHub Copilot and will be using new chat. Okay, so important thing that need to be noted: if you get unexpected results, restart using a new chat session. So maybe it is taking the context from the previous chat. So if you are not getting the results, don't need to worry. Just create a new chat session and then start uh, like doing your task. Okay. So in the chat box at the bottom of the main time, type the following command prompt after Azure. So we are using GitHub Copilot agent mode, so we'll not be using @Azure. So you can experiment with this thing as well, like it is working without it or not. So simply we'll be copying this command, and let's create and deploy an application at the same time. Okay, let's do this, and let me create a new chat. Okay, so to create a new chat, simply you have to come at the top, and you can see here is the new chat option. We simply click it here and write our new prompt. So we are writing here, could you help me create and deploy a simple Flask website by using an EasyD template? Okay, let's see what response will we get. Okay, it's running. And okay, so it's running till, let me show you something that is important. Okay, so you may need to authenticate to your Azure account before continuing. To follow GitHub Copilot for Azure instructions, follow the authentication instructions to continue. So you might get this notification when you run the prompt. So you just need to authenticate. Once you done, you are good to go. So let's see, do we get the response? Okay. Okay, so it's saying Copilot required an empty folder as a workspace to continue workspace creation. So okay, continue. So it asking for the path. Select an empty workspace folder. Okay, it is good. So it create a new workspace for me. Please open the empty folder in VS Code before we proceed with the creation and deploying your application. Okay, so it asking me to click on the folder, but where is the folder? Oh, we don't give any names, so let's see what it says. If we say to the Copilot that yes, we have created. Okay, so it's giving me the command to initialize uh, the Azure sample template from the Azure sample template. So initialize the workspace with a simple Flash website using an AZT template. So if you are wondering why it not create an empty folder for me, it is because I don't give any name to it. Like when it's showing me the path, I don't give any name after the GitHub Copilot for Azure because our repository is already a folder. So I don't need to create a folder inside a folder. So what I mean to say, this is our repository. If we create a folder, so we have to go into the folder, into a repository, and then we have to run the command. So I don't want that thing because we already have a repository which is acting as a folder for us. Okay, let's click continue. So it will run, uh, so it will create a template using the Azure sample Python Flask template. Okay, so it's saying what it's saying. Wait. Okay. AZD command not found. So okay, so it is why it's happened because we don't have Azure Developer CLI installed on our code space. So again, if you don't found anything, Copilot is for here, and it's asking me to install this Azure CLI so we can work further here. So let's continue. Okay, Azure CLI is installed. And now it asking again to run the previous command that it initially runs, but it got fails because it not find azd command, which is basically the Azure Developer CLI command. So we'll just hit continue. Okay, so it asking us initializing an app to run an Azure. Okay, yes. So it's giving us error. Fetching template failed to clone the repository. Okay, let's see what our Copilot do for this thing. Okay, so now it's asking us to list to validate a Flask template for initialization. Okay, now we are getting another error. So it giving the command by itself. Here you can see it's prompting and you don't need to worry about any of the issues. So what it's saying, the template repository Azure does not exist for it's not publicly available. Okay, so the repository that we are trying to clone, it is not exist or publicly available. That's why we are getting this error. Would you like me to use a different official Flask template such as yes? So that's the best part. You don't need to figure it out like the you give the link to clone the repository. Is the issue with the repository link or what is the actual issue? It is doing all by itself, and it's asking you like I identify this thing, what you want me to do next. Okay, so let's see. So it's using another official Flask repository and we are getting the error again. are not currently available or have been removed from the Azure sample repository. That is why the initializing is failed. Would you like to proceed by creating a simple from scratch and then preparing it using AZD, or would you like to try a different template or approach? Okay, so here you can see the common issue that we face while developing the application, or while cloning, or while creating our application. We face these issues, and we have to figure it out, and we have to spend an hours to find why this is not running. It is the issue with my settings, or it is issue with the link or the repository. So here you are getting all the details. So moving forward, so these repository that is available on the documentation is not currently available, and that is completely fine. So let me create by the scratch, but let me go you through the documentation first, what will happen next, because we are also running out of the time. So let me go you through the documentation first, and then we'll create the application from scratch and deploy it to Azure. Okay, so before you use AZD init template, you might have a question how it affect your local computer and your Azure subscription. So we run the above command directly, but you can also run this prompt as you have a question in my mind that will it be affect my computer or my Azure subscription, and you will be getting the response like this, that it is a command for the Azure developer, say CLI, that initialize an Azure development project. And here what it does, so it clones the template, set a project structure, and configure environment, and initialize Git, and provide guidance. So whatever questions coming to your mind, you can ask from the Copilot, and you will be getting the response. And again, you can ask what resources are created with this template, and you get certain response from the Copilot. And you can ask from the response as well, like if you don't know what is virtual network, you can ask the Copilot what is virtual network, or anything that you feel you don't know about this thing. So Copilot will help you in guiding, and you can learn and develop at the same time. So here you can see that what will happen next when our EZD init command will run. So it will be up, and it then we can ask where you want to deploy this application, like it asks in the portal. So you can ask, so it will be giving you the options, and you have to select from that, and then continue to prompt from AZD app and ask git Copilot question as needed. So let's do this thing from the scratch and see how it works. So I am also trying this for the first time with you guys. Like, I don't create any demo. I am using directly that you guys will be experiencing. So directly following the documentation and answering the queries, what will happen if something's not working in documentation. And let's see, will it build from the scratch or not. And yeah, it is working. Create app.py, and here you can see the file is here, and that is nice. Okay, let me show you the file what it is created. So it created a simple file, and it asking me, okay, it's still working. It is also creating a requirement.txt, and I want to keep this file. Yes, and in requirement it is has flask keep, and then I will hit continue. So it will create the virtual environment for our application and activate it, and also install the requirements. We notice a new environment. Do you want to select yes? And here you can see it start happening. It install the requirement, it activate the virtual environment, and here you can see the venv is activated, and we have one folder and two files here. And now it's asking me to run a command in terminal that we are trying initially. So let's hit continue, and we'll select yes. Okay, again we have an error. Let's see how it will handle. So it's asking in it interactively to see if there are any available templates for Python. Okay. Initializing an app to run on Azure init. Okay, so it's asking me how do you want to initialize your app. So use arrow to move and type to filter. So use code in your current directory. So what I want, so template is not working. So let's select create a minimal project, enter a unique environment name. Okay, so let's say ABC, and we are seeing something is happening here, and we are seeing the infra folder is here and a lot of more files. Okay, preview the Azure resources that will be provisioned for the minimal Flask project. So we have selected the minimal project because it is getting failed on the template side. And then it asks me to provide an unique environment name. So it is just a demo. So I provide ABC. And now it asking me to preview the Azure resources that will be provisioned for the minimal Flask project using AZD. So basically it will be using Azure CLI to provision the Azure resources. So let's see what it do next. Okay. So here you can see it will preview Azure resources and it's downloading the bicep. Those who don't know what is bicep is a infrastructure as a code of Azure itself. You can say it is similar to Terraform scripts that you write as scripts and then deploy from your infrastructure from your code. Okay, so again, Bicep is downloaded, but initializing provision manager listing accounts not logged in, run Azure auth login to login. Okay, so waiting for Copilot respond. So when you see the loading sun and working, so it is like running, like reading the error and identifying the solution. So it might take some time, but it will give you the solution. That is the guarantee that if you get any error, Copilot will definitely do for you. And here you can say, see, after logging in, let me know. I will. Okay. So it asking me to log in first. So from here, you don't need to copy paste and write into the terminal. You can simply apply in editor, apply insert at cursor AI and more actions, insert into terminal. Okay. Again, don't need to copy. You can simply select from select from the options that is available over the command and just hit enter. Okay, press start by copying the next code. Then let me copy this, then press enter to log in. Okay, so basically we are logging into the Azure CLI, so it's asking us to authenticate. So let me put the code and click next. Asking for the account. Are you trying to sign in? Yes. You have signed into the Microsoft Azure cross platform. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we are logged into the Azure CLI and here you can see I'm logged in with my email. So let me tell that I am done with the login. Let's see what happened next. Okay, it will run the command that it got fails. So okay, continue. Okay, now it asking select and subscription to use. Okay, we have only one subscription, so we directly hit enter. Oh, okay. So if you have multiple subscription, you can select from here. Now it asking me to use arrow to move or type to the filter. Okay. Okay, now we are deploying our infrastructure parameter. So where should we deploy? Okay. Oh, there are a lot of environment that you see in the console. So let me see which is near to me. Okay, we have South Africa, Australia. Okay, let's select Sweden. Oh, let's select US one. Or we can select UE one as well, but let's see. Okay, you let's select West Europe one and let's see what will happen. So it's generating infrastructure preview, so it will take some time. And okay, so our resource group name is ABC and success generating provisioning preview in 32 seconds. Okay, so all is happening just by Copilot, and let's see what it says next. It says again, okay. So first we preview, now will be provisioning, and now it start provisioning. And it start creating and updating our resource. So we'll go, once it is done, we'll go to the Azure portal and see is it actually created or not. Okay, so it's giving us the option to go to the portal and see it is actually created or not. Let's see. So it's done from here and it says, okay. Okay, so deployment is complete. That is done uh, by the GitHub Copilot, and now it asking to deploy. So our resource are created by the GitHub Copilot, and now we'll be clicking AZD deploy and continue. And what it says now, you can view the resource. Okay, let's see. So we can simply go from here as well into the resource group, and it will show. So this is the resource group that it created. Now here it is loading and we'll be seeing the resources in the resource group. Okay, it don't have any resources at the moment. Let's see what it says here. So it's currently working, and what it do, it check the application main bicep file and parameters, and now let's click continue. Okay, so it's grabbing the logs from the Azure and let's see our application is deployed or not. Okay, your simple website has been successfully provisioned and deployed to the Azure. There are no code or infrastructure error detected. However, application logs okay, and you can now access your deployed app via the Azure portal under the resource group. Okay, so it says our application is deployed. So let's see where it is deployed. I don't find any. Let me ask. So let ask the Copilot that I don't find my app in Azure portal. So let's see what does it says because it only created the resource group till now. So maybe it created multiple or maybe created more than one resource group. So let ask and see where is our application deployed. So it's searching and let's see. Okay, it's done searching. Let's see. Hope for the best. Okay, so what it says, no app service container app or function app resources were found in the resource group in your. This mean your Flask app was not actually deployed as a running web application. So what is the possible reasons? The possible reasons is the minimal AZD project setup only created the resource group but did not define. Yeah, it actually happens. Let me ask it to fix it and deploy app using app service. So let's see what happened next. But in the meantime, let's go back to the documentation. So from here, you can explore and you can see if something is not working in the documentation, what you have to do next. You don't need to worry. You can ask the Copilot. And yeah, okay. So maybe what happened here? Okay, it's loading. So we see here how we can create a new application and then deploy. But if you have your existing application, you can again navigate from the left navigation bar and see how you can deploy your existing project to Azure. And you can follow this command and something is not goes according to this documentation again. Don't need to worry. Ask the Copilot, it will fix for you. Okay, so here we are seeing that it start working and it start getting schemas for bicep, and let's see how much time it will take. We have 5 minutes and I am hoping we'll complete the deployment of application within 5 minutes. So behind the scenes it's happening a lot of this stuff. Here you can see from the folder structure that we have multiple files and folders that is created by the GitHub Copilot, and it created main.bicep file within the infrastructure folder, and let's see where it is. It is here and it's still working. Let's see. And it's updating Azure.yml as well. So behind the scenes, it is utilizing infrastructure as a code functionality to deploy uh, from GitHub Copilot to the Azure portal. So first we'll be keeping this file, because if we don't keep this file, we'll be getting the errors again. And we have to keep the file and again run the command. So let's click continue, and it again start initializing the bicep providers, and we get a big error. So let's see how it handle the error. So it's applying code, and provision updated infrastructure at the resource group, including app service and web plan in Azure. So it again updated the file, and let's keep the file. Whatever changes it makes, we'll see after the once we deploy it, then we'll see in the files what it happens. But here we can see it asking for the resource group. Okay, so let me come here, and yeah, this is the resource group where it's created, and click, and it start deploying. And we have 2 minutes. Let's see, can we deploy the application in 2 minutes or not? And yeah, it start working, and let's go to this link, or even we can refresh from here and see are there resources created in a resource group or not. Not yet. Let's see. So it's created the app service plan, and it's still in loading. So let's wait a couple of minutes, and we only left with couple of minutes. Okay, let's see it will deploy or not. Okay, it's creating. Let's go to this link and check. Okay, so what does it says? It says the resource group created under the. Okay, let's check it. Does it create it or not? And also see this thing. And what does it says here? Okay, it's still working, and we are running out of the time, and hmm, it's loading. Okay, so now it's asking to deploy. Okay, let's hit continue. Okay, we are getting error again. Why we are getting errors? Okay, we have some progress here. The app service is created, and here you can see that application is created, the service that where we need to deploy our application. But let's see uh, what it do next, like what it is asking. So it asking the infrastructure for your apps correctly provisioned in app service that we have seen in the resource row. However, deployment steps failed due to a package error. So let's do this thing, and yeah, we'll deploy the successful application, and again we have the error, no package. What it is asking, would you like to try the workaround, or do you want instruction for deploying from your local machine? So okay, let me say, just fix it and deploy this application. So here you can see it created the resource group, and then it says that the application is deployed, but it not created any of the service. Then we give the more prompts, and it we asked to create the app service to deploy our application. So it created the app service to deploy the application, And let's see, will it deploy now or not? Unknown flag, and let's see how it handles. So run command and okay, let's do this. We just want to deploy our application, and something is happening here, and let's see after the deployment, is it successful or failed? And okay, just so what it do, it asks for the another command, and command not found. So it installing the packages. hmm So basically it uh, use the curl command. So that's the best part, that it continuously trying, and it is now trying to deploy our application. And let's see what happened after this command ran successfully. It's run. Hoping for some good response from the Copilot that application is deployed, or let's see what it says. Okay, get the name of the deployed app for manual deployment. Get the name of the deployed Azure app for me. Okay, let's see. We need to run AZ login again. But let's okay, so what it says, login. Okay, in the parallel, till this command is running, okay, again it's asking. So let's see what it created here in the application. Uh, so we see the resources available in the app service. So what if we go from here? This is the application name that we give ABC and the Flask app. Let's open in the new tab and see what is happening here and what does it says. Let's see how does our applications look like. Yeah, it is not successfully deployed, but it will definitely show something here. So we have some progress in this session, that we have created a resource in Azure using the GitHub Copilot for Azure extension. So it takes some time in loading. Maybe, hopefully, I am hoping that it will deploy successfully. And yeah, continue. And yeah, it's run successfully. Let's see what's happened next. Okay, so it's basically deploying this folder that it is zipped and getting SCM site credential. Okay, now I'm hoping it will deploy it successfully, but let's see what will happen next. So it's still running, and I am hoping that this time it will deploy successfully. But let's see. Still loading. It making me so much, creating so much suspense. What will happen next? Will it deploy or will it not deploy? Will it give some error? But we have to be patient and see what will happen next. Okay, we are getting something here. Okay, so deployment endpoint responded with status code 202 and application is started building, and I'm really hopeful that it will deploy it, but again we are in suspense situation. What will happen next? Okay, so let's see what will be the result. And that's why we are not seeing something over the URL, because the deployment is in process. So let's close it and let's hope for the best, that it gives some results. It's taking time. So much suspense here. At least we are getting status now, that what's the progress. So it's still building the application, and let's see what happens. uh, okay, so it's taking a lot of time. Isabel, do we have any questions or comments on the chats that we cater till it's building the application?
No questions from the chat. I think we are all very eager to see the result. But Muhammad, do you think this will take a little bit longer? I do have to wrap up the session as I have another session I need to start.
Yeah, just wait 2 more minutes and let's see what happens.
All right. Thank you so much. Mohammed, I'm so sorry. I do need to wrap up the session now. I do have another session I need to start now.
Okay,
But I
okay.
have shared your LinkedIn profile with our audience in case they want to link up with you and review any of the results that came from the session.
Okay, so one thing, we have some result here that it's successfully deployed. It's still showing building there, but finally it is deployed. Here we are.
Yay, we did it.
Finally we did it. The application is deployed and we are saying hello
Perfect.
Azure from Flask. Finally.
I'm glad we could show the audience the full result on this session. So it might have taken a little bit of time, but I'm happy to hear that we were able to uh, project everything all together.
Yes, like we completed the demo and we finally deployed our application. And tada, it's waiting
Perfect.
for the session rep and it's completed. Oh,
Perfect.
finally
Thank you so
the
much,
suspense
Mohammed.
is ended.
Perfect. Well, I do have to wrap up the session now. Thank you all for joining us today on this session
Okay.
of the Reactor.
Thank you
Mohammed, thank you
everyone
so
for the
much for the
questions.
session.
Yeah, yeah.
And if anyone in this audience missed any part of the session, if you want to go back and review the session, this will be available on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in 24 to 48 hours. But I will wrap up the session now. Thank you all for joining us today. And thank you, Mohammed.